At 2:13 in the morning, Claire Hale stood barefoot in her kitchen with a hotel receipt in one hand and her husband's phone in the other. The receipt was for 2 dinners, 1 bottle of champagne, and 1 room. The message on the phone was only 6 words long. I can still smell your shirt. Most people think betrayal begins with a kiss. Claire was about to learn that it begins much earlier, when simple questions stop receiving honest answers. But the affair was not the hardest truth waiting inside her marriage. Months later, one sentence from a doctor would force her to choose between the family she had promised to protect and the woman she was slowly losing. Until that night, the Hales looked almost impossible to damage. Ethan Hale was 38, handsome, confident, and rich enough to make problems disappear before most people heard about them. His technology company occupied the top 12 floors of a glass tower in Chicago. Business magazines called him brilliant. Employees called him demanding. At home, in the early years, Claire called him kind. They met at a charity concert where Claire, a beautiful young pianist with a quiet confidence, performed for hundreds of guests. After the concert, Ethan waited beside the empty stage. "You were the only person in that room who didn't look at me," he said. Claire smiled. "I was looking at the piano. It needed me more." He laughed, and that was how it began. During their first years together, Ethan remembered everything. He brought coffee to Claire before she asked. He flew home early just to have dinner with her. On their wedding day, he whispered, "If success ever changes me, remind me who I was tonight." Claire believed that promise because Ethan seemed to believe it too. Their daughter, Emma, was born 2 years later. Noah arrived 3 years after that. The house became louder, warmer, and less perfect. There were bottles on the counter, toys under expensive chairs, and nights when nobody slept. Claire stopped performing because Noah needed constant attention, and Emma had started school. Ethan said it was temporary. "When things calm down, we'll get your music back," he promised. But things did not calm down. They only changed shape. Ethan began coming home after midnight. His 2-day trips became 5-day trips. At dinner, he placed his phone face down. When Claire asked about work, he answered with one word: busy. The first clue was not perfume or lipstick. It was silence. One Thursday, Emma waited beside the window in her pajamas. Ethan had promised to read at her school that afternoon, but he never arrived. "Did Daddy forget me?" she asked. Claire called him 3 times. He replied 40 minutes later, "The meeting ran over. You could have called." "Claire, I'm trying to keep this company alive. And I am trying to explain to a 7-year-old why her father did not come." He exhaled sharply. Don't make me feel guilty for working." That sentence stayed with her. It sounded reasonable. That was what made it dangerous. Ethan had turned her question into an accusation and then made himself the victim of it. 3 weeks later, at 2:13 in the morning, his phone lit up on the kitchen counter. The sender was Maya Reed, his executive assistant. Ethan walked into the kitchen while Claire was still holding the phone. For 1 second, neither of them moved. Then he looked at the receipt. "Why are you going through my things?" Claire almost laughed. "That is your first question? You invaded my privacy. And you invited Maya into our marriage? Nothing happened." Claire raised the phone. "She can still smell your shirt. Should I believe she works in a laundry?" His face changed. Not with shame, with calculation. "It was one mistake," he said. There it was, the first confession, delivered as a smaller lie. Claire's voice shook. "One night?" Ethan looked away. "How long?" "Claire, lower your voice. The children are sleeping." "How long?" 3 months. The room seemed to lose its air. "You missed Emma's school day because you were with her, weren't you?" "I said I was sorry." "No, you said it was a mistake. A mistake is taking the wrong train. 3 months is a decision you made again and again. Ethan pressed both hands against the counter. We had become strangers. Every conversation was about the children, the house, or something I had done wrong. Maya listened to me. I listened to you for 10 years. Then I became tired, and you replaced me with an audience. That is not fair. Fair? You want to discuss fairness now? A small sound came from the hallway. Emma stood there, holding her blanket. Why are you shouting? The fight stopped, but the damage did not. The next morning, Ethan said he had ended the affair. He showed Claire a short message to Maya. This cannot continue. Do not contact me outside work. It looked final, but Claire had learned to inspect ordinary words as if they were evidence. Outside work? She asked. She still works for you? I cannot fire someone because of a personal situation. A personal situation? You mean the woman you slept with? If I dismiss her, she could sue the company. That answer contained enough truth to hide another choice. Ethan had protected his company before protecting his marriage, so Claire found Maya herself. They met in a quiet cafe. Maya was younger than Claire expected. She did not look like a villain. She looked nervous. He told me you were separated, Maya said. He said you stayed in the same house for the children. Claire placed her wedding ring on the table between them. Did this look separated to you? Maya's eyes filled with tears. He never wore his ring when we traveled. Then she showed Claire the messages. Ethan had not described the affair as a mistake. He had described it as a future. He had written, "When the merger is finished, everything will change." Claire finally understood the first mystery. Ethan had not lied only to her. He had built 2 versions of himself and offered each woman the version she wanted to trust. That discovery should have ended the marriage. Instead, it opened a harder question. Could a man who had divided his life learn to become whole again? Ethan removed Maya from his team. He started marriage counseling. He gave Claire access to his travel calendar and phone. For several weeks, he came home before dinner. One evening, he found Claire playing the piano for the first time in years. "I forgot how beautiful that sounds," he said. Claire stopped playing. "You forgot a lot of things." "I am trying." "I know, but trying is not the same as changing." Still, part of her wanted to believe him. Not because of the house or the money, because Emma smiled when he walked through the door. Because Noah climbed into his lap and touched the buttons on his shirt. Because the family, for a few fragile weeks, looked repairable. But while Claire watched Ethan, she began noticing something else. Noah no longer turned when she called his name. He arranged his toy cars in perfect lines and cried when anyone moved one. The sound of the blender made him cover his ears. Words he had used before seemed to disappear. Ethan dismissed her concern. Children develop at different speeds. He used to say, "Mommy." He has not said it in 2 months. You are exhausted. You are seeing danger everywhere. I am seeing our son. Are you? The pediatrician recommended an evaluation. The appointment was on a Monday morning. Ethan promised to attend. That Sunday night, he received a call and stepped onto the balcony. When he returned, he said an investor needed him in New York. "Tomorrow?" Claire asked. "The merger could collapse. Your son needs you. And both our children need the life my work gives them." Claire looked at him for a long moment. They need a father more than they need another house. Ethan left before dawn. At the clinic, Noah sat beneath a table, turning the wheel of a small blue car. Claire answered questions about language, eye contact, routines, and sleep. Every answer felt like a door closing behind her. Then her phone vibrated. The message came from an unknown number. It contained a photograph taken that morning. Ethan was not in New York. He was leaving a hotel in Chicago with a woman in a red coat. The woman was Sophia Lane, a consultant working on his merger. For several seconds, Claire could not breathe. Ethan had ended one affair, attended counseling, handed over one phone, and simply moved his secret life somewhere else. The clinic door opened. "Mrs. Hale?" the doctor said softly. "We are ready to discuss Noah's results." Two truths arrived within 20 minutes of each other. The first was that Ethan had betrayed her again. The second was that Noah was autistic. Claire heard the doctor's words, but they seemed to come from the end of a long tunnel. "Will he be able to talk?" she asked. "We cannot predict exactly how his communication will develop," the doctor said. "But listen carefully. Noah is the same child who entered this room. The diagnosis did not change him. It gives us a clearer way to understand and support him." That was the first honest sentence Claire had heard all day. She sat in her car afterward and called Ethan. "How did the meeting go?" she asked. "Difficult, but we may have saved the deal. How is Noah?" Claire stared at the photograph on her screen. "What color was Sophia's coat?" Silence. "Claire." "Red," she said. "It was red." "I know because someone sent me a picture of you leaving a hotel while I was learning that our son is autistic. Let me explain." "No. Come home and tell the truth in one sentence. If you use the word mistake, I will hang up." He came home that afternoon. The argument began in his office with the door closed. "Sophia and I became close during the merger," he said. "That is a polite sentence. Try an honest one." "I slept with her." "How many times?" "I don't know." People forget where they put their keys. They do not forget how often they betray their wife. Ethan's voice rose. "What do you want from me? A number? Will a number make you feel better?" "I want reality. You keep changing it every time you open your mouth." "I was under pressure. The company, the merger, this house, and now Noah? Are you going to put him on that list too?" "I did not say that." "You did not have to. I was alone in that clinic because you chose a hotel room." Ethan hit the desk with his palm. "I am not a monster." From the hall came a sudden cry. Noah had dropped to the floor, hands over his ears. Their shouting had overwhelmed him. Emma knelt beside him, crying too. Claire opened the door and froze. That was the real midpoint of her marriage. Not the photograph, not the confession. The sight of both children absorbing a war they had never started. She lowered her voice immediately. "No more shouting," she said. Ethan looked at the children, and for once, he had no defense. Later that night, Sophia called Claire. "I sent the photograph," she admitted. "Why?" "Because he told me he was leaving you. This morning he said he could not leave now because your son was sick." Claire's anger became suddenly calm. "My son is not sick. He is autistic. And Ethan is not staying because he loves us. He is staying because he is afraid of looking like a man who left." Sophia whispered, "I am sorry." "You knew he was married. Save your apology for the next choice you make." Claire ended the call. One more loop had closed. Ethan's affairs were not caused by Maya, Sophia, work, or even an unhappy marriage. Those were explanations he used after the fact. The deeper cause was simpler. Whenever honesty demanded discomfort, Ethan chose escape. But understanding him did not tell Claire what to do. Her mother told her to stay for the children. "A broken home will make Noah's life harder," she warned. Claire's friend Rachel said the opposite. "If you stay, Emma may learn that love means accepting humiliation." Both women believed they were protecting her. Neither had to wake inside her life. So Claire stopped asking, "What will people think?" She asked 3 different questions. Is this home emotionally safe? Is Ethan taking responsibility without being forced? Am I staying from love or from fear? The answers were painful. The home was not safe while lies and shouting controlled it. Ethan was sorry about the consequences, but he still argued with the facts. And Claire was not staying because trust remained. She was staying because Noah's diagnosis made every change feel dangerous. Then Noah's therapist taught her something unexpected. Predictability helps him feel secure, the therapist explained. But predictability does not mean keeping everything exactly as it is. A calm routine in two homes can be healthier than constant tension in one. That sentence changed Claire's question. The choice was not between a complete family and a broken one. The family was already wounded. Her choice was whether the wound would remain open. She prepared quietly. She spoke to a lawyer, not to punish Ethan, but to protect the children. She arranged a smaller house 12 minutes away, close enough for school and therapy. She created visual schedules for Noah, with simple pictures showing which parent he would see each day. She returned to the piano for 15 minutes every evening. As she became clearer, Ethan became more desperate. He canceled the merger. He ended contact with Sophia. He offered to sell the company. "Tell me what it costs to fix this," he said. Claire looked at the man who could price almost anything. "That is still how you think. You believe every loss is a transaction. I love you." Maybe you do, but love without honesty became dangerous in this house. "Give me one more chance. I gave you another chance." "You used it to become better at hiding." His eyes filled, but Claire did not change her answer. On the morning she left, the expensive house was strangely quiet. Emma carried her own backpack. Noah held the blue toy car from the clinic. Ethan stood beside the front door. "Are you taking my children?" he asked. "No, I am leaving the marriage. You are still their father, and they need you to become a reliable one. But you are no longer going to use them as a reason for me to remain your wife." "Is this forever?" Claire paused. This was the question she had feared for months. Now the answer felt steady. The separation begins today. "What happens between you and the children depends on what you do next. But our marriage is over. I cannot build a future on evidence that changes every morning." Ethan looked at Emma. Then he looked at Noah, who was studying the wheels of his car. One tear moved down Ethan's face. It was the first time Claire had seen the rich man understand a loss he could not purchase back. But his tear was not the end of the story, and it was not proof that he had changed. It was only proof that the truth had finally reached him. 6 months later, Claire played piano at the same charity hall, where she had met Ethan. Emma sat in the front row. Noah wore soft headphones and held a picture card that meant music. Ethan sat 3 seats away, on time. He had attended parenting sessions. He followed Noah's routines. He stopped asking Claire to protect him from the consequences of his choices. Their marriage did not return, but something more honest began to form. 2 parents learning to care for their children without pretending to be a happy couple. Claire had not saved her family by preserving its old shape. She saved it by ending the lie that appearance mattered more than peace. And Noah's diagnosis was not the event that destroyed the marriage. It was the light that revealed what the children truly needed: patience, stability, clear communication, and adults brave enough to make reality safe. That closes Claire's hardest question. She did not stay merely for the children, and she did not leave merely because she was hurt. She left because a child needs a peaceful truth more than a beautiful lie. Yet one mystery remains. What happens when a person like Ethan really tries to change, but the person he hurt no longer owes him another chance? Can forgiveness exist without reunion? And can a man become a better father after failing as a husband? That is the question behind our next story, where one unexpected letter arrives 3 years after a divorce and exposes a secret neither family was prepared to hear. If this story helped you understand love, betrayal, or family in a different way, support the channel with a like and subscribe to Slow English Zone. Here, every story helps you feel real English. understand natural conversations, and see familiar choices from a deeper angle. Then, continue to the next story. The letter is already waiting, and the name written inside it changes everything.